Awesome. Can everyone on campus hear me?
Yes.
Big thumbs up. All right. Everybody, welcome to Focus Personal Training Institute's Teach and Train event. I am super excited tonight. There's a different energy here. We have students that just graduated. We have students that have graduated 3+ years ago. We have trainers from Equinox that are here. We have future students that are here joining us on campus and online. So super, super exciting event that we have tonight. And not only are our guests the exciting part, but we also have an industry legend with 40 years in the industry. So I'll say that one more time. 40 years in the industry. That's incredible. Wow. Standing alongside me is Annette Lang, and I'm super excited for all of us to learn something tonight and things that are applicable that we can take away right when she's done with her presentation. At the end, we're going to have a Q&A. So any questions that you have, feel free to keep those till the very end, and we'll make sure we address those at the end of the presentation. But without further ado, Miss Annette Lang.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. This is for you.
Yeah, I was going to say. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here today, and I really want to thank Focus for inviting me to speak here today. As Casey said, when you start at 10 years old, I've been in fitness forever, done sales, management, worked as an instructor in a Nautilus facility in Gainesville, Florida, is my first fitness job. Worked at the first Equinox, first program director of EFTI, traveled a bit teaching and training, and this topic has been sort of at my soul since the very beginning, and I didn't even realize it. And then when I started studying health education at the graduate level at school, I realized, you know what? This is what's brought me here, because I was doing sales and I went back to school for health education, and I learned how to basically morph a profession for me. So I want to start with that. I want to start with the definition of what I learned as health education. Health education is any combination of learning experiences designed to facilitate the voluntary adoption of behaviors conducive to health. So that's a mouthful. So I'd like to break that up a little bit. First of all, any combination. Okay, so you don't have to do it this way. There's lots of different ways that we can achieve this goal, right? I feel like years ago as personal trainers, we were the expert and this is how you do things. And now there's been an industry shift where we call ourselves coaches, right? Because we're working on this together. I like to tell people, you want to lose weight? I can give you 73 different ways to lose weight. You and I, our job is to figure out what makes most sense to you now. What are you ready, willing, and able to try to do, right? And so any combination of learning experiences, that word experience is very frustrating for me right now because I feel like it's overused and abused. And I'm still going to use it because I think it works well for what we're talking about today. I first learned about the concept of designing an experience from these Harvard Business Review, these scholars. We're talking like the 80s. We're talking about the experience economy. And the example they gave was a coffee bean is a commodity. A cup of coffee is a product. You go into a hipster cafe with beautiful music and cool furniture and pay $5.40 for a cup of coffee and sit there for 4 hours working. That's an experience, right? And so now through COVID and other reasons, everybody wants to provide an experience. Now, I have to say it's a little daunting for me when I walk into a coffee shop and the person working barely acknowledges me, does not make eye contact, maybe talks to their colleagues the whole time, and then flips the tablet and wants to know how much tip I'd like to give. And then they want me to rate the experience. Years ago at LaGuardia Airport, before COVID, you'd walk in there and order a beer or a sandwich. You had to order from a tablet, and you had a tip before you even were provided a service. I thought tipping was to congratulate you for great service. So the whole thing is just all convoluted, but anyway, I'm sticking with it. Designed to facilitate. So not force on you. I never wanted to be a fitness zealot. I've got plenty of issues I'm working on myself. I fail all the time and keep trying. Facilitate, to nudge, to allow. When you're ready, I'm ready, willing, and able to help you. And then the voluntary adoption of behaviors conducive to health. You ain't gonna quit smoking until you're ready to quit smoking, right? I was, my husband's aunt asked me a few weeks ago, talking about somebody in the family, and she said, well, Annette, you know, if somebody you see needs to lose 10 pounds, you would tell them, right? You would tell them you need to lose weight. And I said, Beth, actually, not necessarily. I can't assume that losing weight is their priority right now, right? We have to talk about this and figure out what's best for them. And so I feel very strongly that we in the fitness profession are behavior change experience designers. And that's what I would like to talk more about as we continue today. So the first thing I'd like you all to do is, and you can put this on the chat line if you're online, and here I'd like to ask you guys, think of a behavior or a habit that you have successfully accomplished in your life. So something that you finally started doing that maybe you worked on a few times and were not successful, but then you finally made that habit. Or, think of a behavior or habit that you have not been successful at changing. Maybe you've tried several times and you're still struggling with that. Because when we can identify these two different behaviors or habits, number one, it helps us when we go through these stages of change we're going to talk about, to make sense of it, and also it helps us to help other people. So somebody here live, can somebody share with us one behavior or habit that they have finally been successful at changing? Yes. Bianca? Yeah.
Yes. So meal prepping. Meal prepping was absolutely so hard for me in the beginning because I'm the type of person that I need every single detail laid out and it has to be planned out. Meal prepping.
Meal prep. Oh, perfect.
So I would spend hours meal prepping, and it would take me all day, and just because I was just like not good at it at first, and now I can do it with practically my eyes closed, and I'd come up with different recipes every week for myself, and it's pretty good.
Thank you very much. And so here's how you're going to use that. As we go through these principles and stages of change, I want you to think back and say, yeah, I definitely slipped back and forth between this phase. And this was why I wasn't as successful as I wanted to be right away, because I neglected to do this stage long enough. Does that make sense? And then can somebody share with us one behavior that you're still struggling with? Yes.
I was trying to stop drinking coffee. Can't do it. Even for a short period of time. Just not working for me.
Okay. So I just want to thank you so much for sharing that. It's just interesting when people describe these behaviors, the words that people use. I can't do it. Can't do it. We're going to talk about that. Self-efficacy at the very end today. Can't do it. No way. So thank you very much. And I invite all of you to do that, because my goal today is just to explain, if you haven't heard about this or a lot of this, how we can learn from another profession that has dealt with for years to helping people change behaviors. And also a little bit more about experience design. So we're going to move forward. So the model that I'm talking about today is called the transtheoretical model of behavior change, or stages of change. Brought to us by Prochaska and DiClemente. These were researchers, social worker people working with cigarette smoking cessation, okay, in the late 70s. And that's where a lot of these constructs come from, is from social work, health promotion, health education efforts, trying to get people to quit drinking, to drug abuse, alcohol. It trickled into the work site, corporate wellness programs. People spent time trying to think of, where do we put the poster advertising Fitness Day? Do we put it in the cafeteria, or do we put it in the locker room, right? Efforts to get people to want to change a behavior. And so this is not a theory, this is a model. Because within each of these stages or phases, there are numerous theories of motivation, psychology, and behavior change, communication skills, body language that can help us when we're talking to people. So these are phases through which someone moves when attempting to and or succeeding at changing a behavior. Pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance. And then there's this ugly head called relapse that pops out once in a while or maybe all the time. So we have to remember that, I mean, it's not a direct line, it's not a smooth route, behavior change, right? So those of you who shared with us, and all of you in the behaviors that you're thinking about, think about how rocky that road was, right? Sort of like, I think of it sort of like a maze, right? You're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing great, and then boom, Thanksgiving vacation happens, right? And then all of a sudden you forgot what you were doing, right? So pre-contemplation, you are not actively thinking about changing this behavior. So this is the person who walks by Equinox and Dumbo every day and doesn't even see it, right? This is the person who has no desire to quit smoking. It's National Quit Smoking Day. You're going to quit smoking? What are you talking about? I'm not quitting smoking, right? Not even in their cognitive thought process, okay? Then something happens. So what happened with you guys, with your behavior that you're thinking of? What happened that made you start thinking about it? Remember the last time you made a new purchase, like maybe you bought a new car or you were looking at buying a certain pair of sneakers, and then all of a sudden that's all you see? Everybody's wearing those sneakers now because it's in your brain now, right? So what happened? Why are you starting to think about it now? That person who never noticed Equinox, maybe it was something acute. Maybe they threw their back out, putting their suitcase in the overhead bin on vacation last week. And the doctor sends them to physical therapy, and the physical therapist said, you really should work out, you know. And then that person walks home and goes, holy crap, there's an Equinox right here in front of my face. I never noticed it before, right? So you go from pre-contemplation to contemplation. It could be chronic, right? The person who says, every year I have to buy a pair of pants that's bigger in size. What's going on here, right? What is it? The average American gains 1 pound of body fat per year as an adult. And so people are surprised that they're 20 pounds overweight when they turn 40, right? So then maybe all of a sudden, they don't want to buy that bigger size pants anymore. But see, it's not all of a sudden, but it is all of a sudden in their brain or what they feel. So pre-contemplation, contemplation, you know, health clubs, notoriously busier on Mondays, right? Weight Watchers, meetings are full on Mondays. Why? Because people overindulge on the weekend. And then by the time Thursday happy hour comes along, what? I joined the gym? What? So it's like almost like a seamless in and out of these stages sometimes. And now the next one is crucial. Preparation, and you alluded to it with the preparing food. Preparation is key, and the most notorious example with this, in my eyes, is New Year's resolutions. You have no thought about setting New Year's resolutions, and then December 1st comes along, and you get bombarded with advertisements for books, diet programs, pills, shakes, all kinds of elixirs, gym memberships, right? Have you ever done this through your life where you literally make a list of New Year's resolutions and it looks so awesome? I'm going to lose 10 pounds. I'm going to finally read 1 book a month. I'm going to do this. But there's nothing after that. And so that piece of paper just sits there, right? And then maybe in June, when they start talking about bathing suit season, you're like, oh my God, where was that list, right? So the preparation is key. And if you know anybody who does prepare their meals and comes with food already every day, that person is a master at that, with that one behavior, right? Because you got to go buy the containers, you got to go to the store, you got to chop, you got to cut, you got to prepare. It's much easier to eat salads if you've got everything ready to go in your refrigerator. We all know that, right? So I just keep asking you to think back to that behavior that you were successful at and see how you did that with these stages. Because number one, that can help us with a new effort that we're trying to take on. And it can also help us when we're talking to somebody who's thinking about buying personal training sessions, right? We have these conversations. You told me that you used to work out in the gym. I'm wondering what happened. You told me that you used to work with a trainer. Tell me about the good parts of that. Tell me about what you found challenging with that. And do you remember why you stopped? Right? So these are helpful in the whole flow of becoming a new personal training client. So preparation is huge. And remember, preparation can also mean not doing something, right? Like, I used to be able to have a bag of potato chips in the apartment all the time, and now forget it. When I open that bag, it's gone. So guess what? My preparation and action is not buying that bag of potato chips anymore, right? So you can either add something or try to take something away to help you with your habits or your efforts. And then action, right? What is going to happen tomorrow and the next day, right? Yeah, I'm going to lose weight. Okay, that's awesome. How are you going to lose weight, right? We need to state the action in terms of a behavior. Losing weight is the goal or the end result. But what is going to happen Monday morning when the alarm rings at 6 o'clock is the behavior. And if we list our action plan in terms of specific behaviors, there's a greater chance that we will be successful with that. And then maintenance. Now, some of these professionals in these other professions who talk about, quitting smoking or drinking, talk about, well, if you're successful for about 6 months, then we can probably call it a habit, and then you'll be in a maintenance stage. Some other philosophies say, yeah, do a new habit for 30 days and it'll stick. I don't think that it's that easy for a lot of people. I always felt it was good to go by a calendar year. I worked at Equinox for 10 years, helping with the education department. That's when I did a lot of training, right? And so talking to so many people, I found that a calendar year was really valuable because you get the different seasons, right? When things change, there's different challenges. You have various family events. There's holidays, right? And so I always found using a year is a good marker. So I want to get more specific with these stages of change, but it's important if you keep going back to your own experiences with what you were successful with and what you're still struggling with to see if you can figure out another way to help yourself through this. And in that way, we help others when we're helping them with their efforts. So understand the stages. I'm going to relate this very specifically to one scenario. So I am a trainer working in a health club. And so I am working the floor is the way I call it. Maybe 2 or 3 times a week, I have a 4-hour floor shift. And I am working, my goal is to help people with the workouts and hopefully pick up new clients by doing assessments and complementary workouts. Fair enough? Okay, so here's how I set the stage. Everybody in front of you in that health club is in pre-contemplation if they're not working with a personal trainer, right? So this is where we can really be experienced designers. So what does that mean? Deliberately making an effort to design an experience. Experienced designers are people like, remember the first time you bought a Mac computer or an Apple phone, how freaking beautiful the box was? So from the second you get that product, somebody put effort into what you feel like, what it smells like, what it looks like, right? How many times do you go to a restaurant and somebody says, how was it? And you go, it was fabulous. Why? Well, I mean, the food was obviously great, but I don't know. It was just so seamless, right? Danny Meyer of Union Square Cafe Group used to talk about that all the time. He wrote a book on it. It's a deliberate effort for you to not notice that the server is filling up your water glass, but it's always full, but you never feel like you got interrupted. So like there's a deliberate effort to that. Walt Disney World, classic example of experience design. So I say to you, new trainer, this is your floor. This is your floor. If 20% of the membership is using personal trainers, that's 80%. That's a heck of a lot of people that you can affect, right? So what are you going to be on that floor? Probably would be better if I were the trainer that wasn't wearing headphones all the time and wasn't looking at my phone all the time. You know, make sure I hold the door open for the person walking in after me, pick up the towel in the locker room, right? So I sort of feel like it's like throwing out the seeds, right, so that people know who you are. My colleague at Equinox back in the day, he went into management after a while, and when we would have meetings, he would say, you gotta own this floor. People should know Annette's in charge, right? Like with pride. And so here's the games I used to play by myself. Some people say, it's all manipulative. No, it's not. It's trying to create an environment where people feel comfortable talking with you and so that we can help them. So I used to play these games with myself. You know, working the floor. I'd move plates from one rack to the other. I'd move the bench, set things up. And then I called it hit and split. Because when I worked in Gainesville, Florida, it was Nautilus workouts, one set to failure. So my whole job was to make sure you reached failure on leg extension. And then I saw the person after you was struggling on the other machine. I'd be like, hey, David, go help that person. Go, help. You know, just constant hit and split. So this is what I did with my time as a floor trainer. It's easy to talk to the people that everybody talks to, right? The socialite people, everybody talks to them. What about the lady who comes in, I'm working a shift Monday and Thursdays from 1 to 5. She always comes in at 2:15, and she goes right to the Stairmaster in the back of the room where nobody talks to her, and she's by herself for about 45 minutes. So I don't approach her, I don't interrupt her, I'm just in her environment, right? So I maybe offer her a towel, wave, make eye contact, smile, and I keep making those efforts. Over time, maybe she smiles back. Maybe she says hello. Maybe the next few weeks, I see her in the locker room and I say, you know, I'm sorry, my name is Annette. I see you here all the time. What's your name? Awesome. Leave. And we continue. And then maybe the next time I say, you know, Robin, I see you on that Stairmaster all the time. You know, I'm here on the days that you're here. If you ever want, I can spend 10 minutes with you and show you some new machines or some new kind of workouts if you want, right? And then you do the sales tool. You want to do it this Thursday or is next Tuesday better for you? Right? So within all these stages, there's all these micro tips that we can use from other professions in building rapport, having people want to talk with us, and then seeing if we can help them with their endeavors. So pre-contemplation is an awesome opportunity for us to set the stage, make it a deliberate effort. If you subscribe to this way of thinking, we are actors, you know? We are performing. This is a production. And so, I mean, it's sort of sarcastic because when I was at Equinox back in the day, a lot of trainers were actors too. But no, in this sense, we really truly are actors. And so, let's say you know who else is in this stage? Or what I see a lot is somebody does their complimentary workout or their assessment, and they tell the trainer right up front, hey, listen, I'm here for my free workout. I just got to be honest with you. I'm really not interested in buying personal training, but I really appreciate your help today. And so many times new trainers will say, well, Annette, what am I supposed to do? They told me they didn't want to buy personal training. And if you're working with new trainers, if you're in that position where you work, it's really important to get that new trainer to understand how to block that out. Right? You told me that, but it goes right out the other ear. And I'm going to give you the best freaking assessment, the best freaking workout that you've ever had. Why? Because if you don't buy it today, you might buy it later in the future, especially because I'm going to keep in contact with you. And the other reason is, if you had a good experience with me, you're going to tell somebody about it. And so maybe their friend who just joined the gym will want to buy personal training. Right? People talk about negative experiences a lot more often than they talk about positive experiences, right? So that's a really important thing to remember if you're in a position where you're training new trainers how to communicate and pick up clients, right? That pre-contemplation stage. And so now, let's say someone says, I really am thinking about hiring a personal trainer. Can we do this assessment? Can we do this workout? I want you to tell me how it works and what it's all about. So now we're moving into the contemplation stage, okay? So do you remember you were talking about meal prep? Do you remember what you went through when you decided okay, I really want to think about doing this. What would I have to do, right? So in the contemplation stage with picking up clients, communication skills are crucial, okay? This is where we ask open-ended questions to invite people to participate and think about what their goals are and what they want to achieve. So open-ended questions don't require a yes or no answer, right? Mirroring what the person is saying to have them appreciate that you're trying to understand what they want. So, Robin, let me get this straight, make sure I have this correct. What you're really looking for is just a well-rounded fitness program, general fitness, and you want to lose a few pounds, get back to, I think you called it your fighting weight. Is that correct? Am I hearing you correctly? Okay. This is important for two reasons. It shows them that you care and that you're listening. We're building rapport and showing empathy, okay? We care about them. And you know, a really strong component of that is they hear themselves say it, and it gets into their brain, you know? And so when I was studying health education, we would have to sit in the classroom and make small groups and role play and go through these topics. And at first, oh, this is so corny, come on. And you do it, and you know what? It works. It works. I went back to the health club where I was doing sales, and my numbers went up because I learned better communication skills, effective communication skills, affirming what the person is saying. We ask about their successes in the past. We ask about their failures in the past. We ask about what they're afraid of now. You said you've been thinking about hiring a trainer for a while. Can I ask, what happened? What changed? Oh, well, you know, my daughter's pregnant, and I decided that I want to be the best fit grandmother that I can be. You know what? That is so awesome. Good for you. That's great that you decided that. See, you're feeding it to them that they decided that. Yes, they decided that. That's not manipulative. That's trying to help somebody, right? So communication skills, listening skills, mirroring what they're saying, affirming that it was a great choice. I love it when I'm trying to be really good at listening, but all I'm thinking about is when can I freaking jump in there with what I want to say. And it's really hard to truly listen and not have that in your head. I joke about it with my husband. I go, you know, when my two sisters are around me and I can't get a word in edgewise, and he goes, you're just jealous that you can talk as fast as they do, that's all. You know? So again, communication is key in the contemplation stage. Excuse me. And then making a decision to act on it, you have to go through the preparation stage. Okay, so we started personal training. What do you need to prepare, right? How many days a week are you going to commit to personal training? Will you do anything on your own if I give you homework to do? What else do you do on your own? Any other kind of leisure or sport activities, right? Let's prepare a plan, right? Okay, you want to lose weight. You want to do you decided that the quintessential 1 pound per week sounds reasonable to you. So, very standard answer was burn 250 calories a day, eat 250 calories less, right? Theoretically a pound at the end of the week. Okay, great, I'm gonna do that. Wait, we're not done yet. How are we gonna do that 250 calories? Sometimes it's tedious, but that's how the work gets done into action, right? Okay, so 250 calories. You want to do calories, serving sizes? You want to count fat grams? Would you like to learn about glycemic index versus glycemic load? I know you go out to eat a lot at restaurants. I can give you a few suggestions. When you show up at the table and the server comes, you say, please no bread for me, thank you. Or you order your meal and you say, can you please put half of it in a to-go container, please, and bring me the other half, right? Precise, specific actions that are behavior-based, not, okay, I'm gonna lose 10 pounds, right? So preparation and then to act on that. And in the action stage, it's really important for us to be present as a trainer, right? Not be on the phone, not take it for granted, like truly be there for this person. I took a pretty in-depth meditation course at Pratt Institute a few years ago, and this woman, Rhonda, was amazing. And she said, you know how people say, oh, time goes so fast, and they're, you know, we always talk about being in the moment and being there, being present. She said, you know how you start? Is when you're washing the dishes, you say out loud to yourself, I'm here washing the dishes. I am here now. This is what I'm doing. So I'm looking at my client. Who is this person, right? What do they bring to the table? And what's happening right now in these 60 minutes? And then later on, if we have a little more time, we'll talk more about experience design, because I need to think about what happened to you this morning before you walked in the door if I want to create a better experience for you. You know, so it could be very in-depth and very complicated, but we can learn from these other professions. And then, constantly review goals, set new goals, new assessments. I love to point out to people, remember 5 months ago you couldn't do 5 chin-ups? Really? Oh man, don't you remember? We were doing the band, we were doing negative only. Now you can do the 5 pull-ups, right? So reminding them of success. My client, Jerry, I've been working with him for 25 years. He just turned 92 the other day. I said, Jerry, you know what you do now? He said, what? I said, you don't call me at 8 o'clock in the morning to cancel anymore because you didn't sleep well. And he goes, I never did that because his memory's going. I'm like, that's right, you never did that. No, like, I said, you don't do that anymore, Jerry. That's awesome. Like really reinforcing what the good part is and how successful they've been. So, and then maintenance, the same idea, right? Like, hey, I know we've been working on your running program, right? And you said you're doing better. Well, in 2 months, the New York Roadrunners Club season is starting. We can do a 10K together if you care to. Right? So inviting new goals, giving them new research. My client told me a couple of weeks ago, you're my expert. Whatever you think I should know, I'll know. I'm like, oh crap, I got to get on it, right? This person is depending on me to be their fitness source, right? So that all helps with maintenance and then hopefully not relapse. So my question to you is regarding the behavior that you're thinking about that you're still struggling with. Where did the relapse happen, or where did you stop? Was it maybe because there wasn't enough preparation? Or maybe we got complacent? Sometimes I ask trainers, look at your appointment book and look at the people that don't work with you anymore. What happened, right? All of a sudden something changed. What was it, right? In the maintenance phase, it's also really important to identify locus of control and self-efficacy. So those are just 2 of the many theories and constructs with behavior change that can help us with getting clients and keeping clients. So let's talk a little bit about that. Our action plan. Again, pre-contemplation stage, be an experienced designer. It's not just in the gym, it's in your neighborhood, right? Do people in your neighborhood know that you're a personal trainer in your community, in your apartment building? I remember there was a phase in my life where I said, I don't want to walk around like I'm working out all the time. I want to wear regular clothes. And I thought, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. I want to pick up clients. So now I start walking around with the bands around my neck and the mini band around my hand, right? I'll never forget this one lady at a sales workshop. She said, you know what I do, Annette? In the neighborhood where I live, where I want to have my private clients, I go to the high-end bar and I order a drink at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm in my nice-looking workout clothes. I've got my body fat caliper. I've got my fitness book, and it invites conversation. That's brilliant. So she's getting the people in the pre-contemplation stage right there, right? So it's not just in the gym. And again, contemplation, communication skills are crucial. Mirroring, affirmation, previous successes, previous failures, invite them to talk about it. You know, one time I was doing a health behavior change sales workshop. It was in Mount Kisco. And we were doing role playing. And it was the contemplation stage. And so we had one trainer who was playing the potential client and one trainer who was playing the client. So the trainer was practicing the affirmation, the mirroring, and then the trainer said, okay, so let me make sure I understand this correctly. Your main goal is to lose weight, right? And the wannabe new client said, yes, that's what I want to do, and I'm hoping you can help me with that. And so the trainer said, this is beautiful. Trainer goes, okay, first thing I need to ask about is breakfast. What do you eat for breakfast? And the potential client said, I've never been a big breakfast eater. And I tell you, these are true stories. It was amazing what happened. That trainer went off on her. Don't you know that breakfast is the most important meal of the day? Don't you know this, and don't you know this? And I was like, okay, great, that's awesome. Could we get anybody else for feedback? And several trainers went down that same path. And I looked at the potential client, and I said, can I ask you how you feel about breakfast? She goes, I've never been a big breakfast eater. I was hoping there was another way I could go about losing weight. I was like, that's exactly it, right? We're not listening. Why are we assuming that she has to eat breakfast? So it's just those little things that can be really, truly profound. And again, be specific with the actions in the preparation stage and make it a behavior. Make it a very detailed behavior. And then be present, think and talk in long-term language. One time I had a client, I got her after New Year's resolutions time, and we were working together, and then it was close to November. And I said, so, Thanksgiving's coming up, that whole holiday season. Told her about how the average American gains how many pounds between Thanksgiving and New Year's Day. And she goes, oh, I always have trouble with that because I travel to my family, they travel to me, and I really have a hard time keeping to my program. And I said, Melissa, do you want to work on that together? Because we could do that. Well, what do you mean? Well, we make an action plan. Right? When you're traveling, I could help you with the workout. I could give you a workout. I could call you and help you stay motivated. When your family comes here, we can tweak the workout. Maybe we do short. Like, give them options, but address it. Address it ahead of time so that they can better plan for what they need to do. And that way, hopefully, we keep them longer as clients. And then again, locus of control and self-efficacy in the maintenance plan to retain clients. Let's talk about that. Locus of control. This is the degree to which you feel responsible for either one specific behavior or a general aspect of your life in general. So there's internal locus of control and external locus of control. So external locus of control would be the feeling that you are not responsible. Again, it could be a general, global idea or a very specific behavior. So some statements that you might hear when you're doing your interviewing in the contemplation stage, or you're doing your assessment, you're doing your free workout are, or a current client sounds like she's losing that motivation to stay consistent. Well, I always have a hard time working out when I go to conferences because my boss says I have to meet him at 7 a.m. and I can't work out before that. Not my fault, right? I didn't do my cardio workout this week because I didn't have time. I said this once to a client. She's on the treadmill because she said, I really want to do stuff without working with you. And I said, let's make a plan. And she said, okay, I'm going to come in and do cardio twice a week. So I'd see her the next workout. I said, hey, how'd it go with the cardio? Nope, didn't do it. I said, do you remember why? And she said, yeah, I didn't have time. And I said, Deborah, can you try one thing for me? Say I didn't make time. And she goes, oh, please. I said, just try it. She said, okay, I didn't make time. I said, see, there you go. You took control of that situation. You didn't make time. Very profound for your brain, right? We're always morphing our brains. I can't control my eating habits because I often go out to business lunches. Had this conversation with a couple of clients through the years. Tell me what happens. Well, you know, it's the same old crap food. You go to the business lunch, they set up pastries, crappy sandwiches, and, you know, chocolate bars or whatever. And then there's this one lady who comes in with her lunch. I'm like, just the way you said that tells me a lot, right? I said, tell me about this lady. And she says, well, she unpacks her lunch and she's got a freaking salad. Just that attitude, right? Like, I can't do that. I said, why can't you do that? She goes, I don't know, I can't do it. I said, do you want to be the person that does that? She goes, yeah, I really sort of do. I said, okay, well, let's talk about it. What do you need to do? And she did it. Like, that's so cool, right? Another lady, the one like, oh, I can't work out before meeting with my boss at the conference. And I said, Connie, what time do you have to meet your boss? 7 a.m. sharp. How would you feel about making a commitment to getting up 45 minutes earlier for you, not your boss? I'd much rather get up early for something I want to do than to go to work, right? And so we talked it through. She goes, well, I guess I could get up for me. Right, so bringing awareness to these concepts, external locus of control. So ask yourself, with the behavior that you're thinking about, that you're still struggling with, did your locus of control shift? Is it now somebody else's fault that you weren't successful? And the behavior that you have been successful with, what about that locus of control? Was there a shift for you? Or maybe when you stopped the habit, was there a shift in locus of control? Internal. My boss said I have to come in early tomorrow, so I got to figure out when I'm going to work out. You talk to people who run regularly, it's never a question if, it's when. Okay, this is my schedule this week, this is when I'm going to fit in my run, right? I didn't do my cardio workout this week because I didn't make the time. At least then you own it. And I go out to business lunches often, so I have to figure out how to control my eating habits. And then self-efficacy, the degree to which you feel that you will be successful. They talk about this with medication. You know, when they do the research and the FDA looks at the efficacy of a new medication. So again, it could be global. How confident are you that you will be successful at this behavior? How confident are you that you will get up tomorrow morning when the alarm rings at 6 a.m. and go to the gym, right? And this is when we hear words like, I'll try, right? And again, it depends on how profound you want to get or specific. When I was doing sales at Gainesville Health and Fitness Center, Joe Cerulli, unbelievable success story in the health club business. If he heard you say, I'll try, oh boy, you better watch out. There is no trying. You're either doing it or you're not doing it. But come on, Joe, you know sometimes you slip up. Are you doing it or are you not doing it? Okay, I'm doing it. Now what are you going to do to do it? Right? Make your plan. So certainty of success on a scale of 1 to 100. I'll try, I think I can. This one client of mine, she had self-image issues. She was a little overweight. She worked in the, she was a, what do you call it? A publishing books, literary agent. So she had to go to a lot of meetings, meet a lot of different people. So she was always socializing a lot. And at the gym, I would try to push her, you know, to try to work hard. And so I remember a couple of times in particular, I'd say, Melissa, you got this, you can do it, you can do it. You know, and she works harder, right? And it was so awesome, it almost made me want to cry. You know, a couple of weeks later, we were talking, and she said, you know, you don't even realize how much you helped me in my whole life besides the workout. I'm like, oh yeah, I do. Oh yeah, I do. I know how much we help you outside of the gym, right? And I said, what happened? And she goes, I was at work, I was struggling with this project, I felt sort of defeated, and I just looked at myself in the mirror, and I said, you got this, Melissa. You got this. And I was like, oh my God, I am gonna cry, you know? That's so cool, right? I often like to think about that. How often will my clients think about me during the day? You know, when somebody else is saying that they feel fat or they feel out of shape, my client's going, I feel pretty great, you know? So anyway, I hope this is making sense. Behavior change is a process, and that's why I asked you to think about one where you were successful and one where you're still struggling. Because if we can identify our journey and what is sticking and what is not, we can help others be better at their endeavors, and we can show them that I'm in this with you. I tell people all the time, why is it that I can exercise regularly, I never give up on fitness, but I can't hang up my freaking jacket when I walk in the room? You know, why is it so easy to do one thing? And that's because we're human beings, right? And so we're constantly struggling with those kind of things. Remember how hard it was for you, and use that experience to help others. And we are behavior change experience designers. Before people think of hiring us, when they think of hiring us, after they hire us, and now maybe they're your #1 star client 25 years later, right? So it's a constant effort. And so I do have some upcoming workshops if you're interested. I always have new things happening, but my website is AnnetteLang.com. If I can be of any help with you, I'd really love that. And I think we still have time for a Q&A, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, sure. This one? Okay. So if anybody has any questions about like the behavior change stages or other concepts of behavior change, or how we can use these theories and models to help us be better trainers, or to clarify something I said.
I have a few questions. I'll start off, and maybe we can go online. Can you guys hear me online okay? Am I coming across okay?
Yes, thumbs up.
Thumbs up? Okay, cool. So now I have a question for you. I wrote these down while you were presenting before. Can you talk a little bit more about what you describe as experience design to help us better connect with our clients, to help with that retention piece when we already have a client?
Yeah, you know, this concept of experience design, my husband is a designer and he teaches design at Pratt Institute. And that was the first time where I really heard about, like, what does this mean, design thinking? And the examples he gave is the end user is part of the design. So when I design a chair, it's going to be a different looking chair. It's going to feel different if a senior citizen sits on it versus a 17-year-old girl or a dancer, right? And so another example that really stuck in my mind was every May in New York is Design Week. And a few years ago, they were interviewing the designer of the Dr. Dre headphones, the Beats headphones. Remember, they're so popular. And you could feel the frustration in this designer's face because the interviewer on the news was going, so tell us, when do you get to the design portion of the headphones? The guy goes, it's not a portion. It's in the whole process from the very beginning. We have to think about who is this person who will be using this. And that's how we shape our thoughts. You guys know the product, it's from OXO, Good Grips, kitchen utensils. They have thicker rubber handles, easier for people with arthritis to handle. Deliberate decision, deliberate to incorporate design in the thinking. So when I talk to designers, they talk about persona development and scenario development. Who's the person that's going to use this product? And tell me about their life. What do they need? So if I want to be better at retaining clients, I mentioned it before, it's not when the person walks in the room. It's everything about their life can be a deliberate intent on my part to affect. So let's go back to that guy, Jerry, right? So now he's walking with a walker. He's not as mobile as he used to be. He sometimes has some chronic pain on different medications. His brain tends to go towards the negative. Sometimes he doesn't wear his hearing aids in the gym, right? And so I'm waiting for him at the gym, right? And so he's a little bit slower now. So I stood up. This is about a year ago. I stood up and I saw him sitting in the walker at the end of the hallway. He just got out of the elevator and he's sitting there taking a break. So I go down there and start the workout there. Now I go up to his apartment and actually get him and go down to the gym. And I start saying something positive. Jerry, tell me something positive about what happened in your day today. And then he starts cursing out what he reads in the newspaper, and I try to get him to go back to a positive. So it's really trying to embrace everything about this person that I know that I can affect. We do it with body language, right? Next time somebody that you've been working with for a long time tells you something that's really hard for them to talk about, do this. Keep talking, I just got to tie my shoe. And you get smaller. You'll see a change in their demeanor. Body language, leaning in to what somebody's saying, right? Not looking at your phone as somebody's talking. Deliberate actions in the workout. How many times have you sensed the client is struggling with an exercise, and instead of just constantly correcting or fighting with them, you go, okay, great, 2 more, and we are done with that exercise. We don't have to go down that path today, right? Or, with this guy, Jerry, for example, if there's people that are talking very loudly or a lot, and I can see he's getting annoyed with that, I go, okay, Jerry, we're done here. We need to go into the other room for the next exercise. God damn it, I'm glad we're going in the other room because people were too loud. He doesn't have to know that that was a deliberate plan. So that's what I mean by experience design, deliberate effort to create the experience with this person.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, the first online question we have here, what do you say to the client with unrealistic goals?
That's a tough one. How many people do we have that can brainstorm this answer? Okay, so obviously I need more context would help, but unrealistic goals, maybe I would probably try humor because that's my go-to. Boy, that's a lot. How much time you got for that? How many times a week are we going to work together with that? And then maybe getting a little bit more sincere and say, it seems like you're stating a lot of goals. Can we go through each of these and see what effort might be necessary to achieve these goals, to see if that's feasible right now, or maybe it's too big of a chunk for us to handle right now. But tell me about why all these things are important to you, number one, right? Getting them to talk a little bit about all these goals. I hope that helped.
Oh, good, thank you. Next one is, how involved as personal trainers should get with regards to advice on diet and things like sleep habits for our clients?
Well, that's a good question. I think a lot of it has to do with your training, right? I know some health clubs say that their employees should not be telling people specifically what to eat, right? And if you think about it, I personally think that might make sense because I don't know if you have any allergies or something to certain foods. So with nutrition, I'm a big fan of education on what good eating means without telling you specifically what food to eat. I'm a big fan of education on glycemic index versus glycemic load. Why a white bagel isn't that great, but why a white bagel with peanut butter is probably a lot better. Right? Do you understand that? Understanding serving sizes, because this country is not regulated on serving sizes. People don't know that, it could be a teaspoon versus a cup of a serving size. Sleep, I think, is getting more attention now with rejuvenation and regeneration and rest, right? And so there's so many things that influence sleep. I guess what I would want to know is what are they interested in doing? What are their current habits? And what do I have? What can I possibly affect? Because there's a lot of hormonal stuff going on, menopause or medications or depression, and so there's a lot. I would have to uncover what it is that you are needing, and maybe I can help you with some of it or refer out to somebody else.
Great, thank you. Next one is
These are good question.
What is the best way to retain a client who's not enjoying their experience?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Well, I would ask the person asking the question, why are they not enjoying their experience? Doesn't that go back to us? Right? Or is the person articulating that they're not enjoying the experience? Or you could just tell, that they're not enjoying their experience. Because if I sense that you're not enjoying your experience, then it behooves me as a trainer to make some changes, right? I remember once I was working with a lady, she had a little kid, and she was probably like 30 pounds overweight. So we worked together for a couple of months. She lost about 15 to 20 pounds, but was on a good path. And then she got pregnant, had another kid. And she was not motivated to work out at all. I worked with her once a week, and she did absolutely nothing else for fitness, exercise, leisure activities besides that at all. We talked about eating habits, how she was doing, not very motivated to make changes. And one day she announced to me, this program's not working, so I'm going to stop. And you know what I said? You're absolutely right. It is not working. But to myself, I said, I don't think it was me, right? And obviously we try to keep trying to get them to want to participate more. But as opposed to what my old boss, Joe Cerulli, said, I know we're not going to win everybody, right? So we do the best we can. But if you can see that somebody's not enjoying the program, I think we need to do a little bit of introspection on what we're doing to contribute to that.
Annette, so it's lead to the one I was going to ask, which is how do you deal with a client who blames you for not achieving results, for instance?
Yeah.
Do you let them go, or you try to share responsibility somehow?
Yeah. So you're saying a client is literally saying to you, Annette, I'm not happy.
Hypothetically. It's
Sorry?
not hypothetically, this is the case.
Okay. Yeah.
So let's say the client wants to lose weight, and I can only control a few hours of this client's time a week. And they claim they follow everything else, what we agreed on, but there's no results. And they blame me for not getting the results.
Have you been talking to my client? Because I feel like I'm going through this with one of my clients.
So how do you deal with that?
Well, you know what I find myself saying to her a lot? I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. Or the other day I said, I don't mean to sound like I'm negative a lot with you, but I feel like it's my responsibility to point out to you that you're not doing the stuff that we're talking about that you need to do. Do you agree with that? Well, yeah, but I'm really busy, and I can't get around to it. I understand that, but I don't like that exasperation in my voice. I understand that. It's just I hear you saying that you're so disappointed that you gained these 10 pounds during COVID, but when we take the time to talk about it, you acknowledge that you're not as active as you used to be. You tell me how you used to have an office 10, 15 blocks away, and you used to walk there round trip every day, and you tell me that you're not doing that. So I think we have to really appreciate that that's why it's not happening as much. And then you come to the gym, and what you want me to do is just stretch you. And we need to really work to get this job done. So I point out that I feel that it's my responsibility as your trainer to point this out to you, that there's a mismatch of what you're saying you want and what the actions that we see. We need to acknowledge that you're not doing it. I'm a big fan of honesty.
What
like
if they
that.
say they're doing everything, no results? They're still insisting that they're following what we...
Okay. Well, then maybe we change something in the program. We change it up.
But it could it be beyond our training, like some hormonal issues, for instance?
Oh, absolutely.
Would I suggest
that's
go
what-
to a doctor and check things
That's
out?
what I was going to say. Or maybe there's something else going on that you need to get checked out. Is there something going on with your metabolism, any new medications, or anything else in your life that could be affecting this? Definitely.
Okay.
There was another. Thank you. There was another question based on that. This one is probably can go many different ways, but when should you fire a client? We're kind of going down that road in a little bit, but what would you say to that?
I think when you know that it's not in the best interest of the client or you to continue working with them. Have you guys fired a lot of people? Yeah? Okay. Yeah. I would say if you feel like there's negative tension there and it can't be resolved, but you've tried resolving it, first obviously try to resolve the situation. I'm a big fan of confronting it. Listen, it seems like we're not getting along right now. It seems like everything that I suggest is wrong for you, and I'm not satisfied with your efforts right now. So could we have a conversation about that? I remember one client I worked with years ago, everything hurt, every exercise hurt. She never did anything else that she said she was going to do, and everything was a battle. So we both looked at each other and said, this isn't working out, is it? And we both said, yeah, not really. I said, we could try again. She goes, that's fine. So yeah, I think acknowledging the situation, seeing if there's a way to work through it, and then part ways if necessary. Maybe refer somebody else for them to work with.
And to that, would also add, obviously, if a client is physically abusive, but also verbally abusive. And in the past, when we've had to fire clients, typically it was a situation where they were verbally abusive to the trainers, and it was just not right in any level.
No, and that's awesome that you did that, yeah.
Two more, if that's okay.
Okay.
So you mentioned earlier in the PowerPoint that there's different theories of motivation to change behavior. Would you be able to give one or two examples of those?
Yeah, well, there's, like I said at the beginning, within the stages, there's lots of different theories of what we could listen for to help people be more successful. So like one of the constructs is, are you a prevention or a promotion focused kind of person? So if I'm talking with you about your goals and why you might think about hiring a personal trainer, and I hear you saying things like, my brother had a heart attack a year ago and that really scared me and I don't want to be that person. And what I'm reading about with loss of bone density loss is also really concerning to me. That's giving me cues that you are a prevention-focused person. So that's how I speak to you, that I can help you with that, right? Well, we can certainly set up your workout to address, bone density issues. I can give you some research on that, but that's the sort of the communication skills that we can guide or use. If you're a promotion focused person, you're going to say things like, my daughter just had a baby and I want to be that grandmother that's in shape to help take care of that baby. I want to be mobile as I get older. I want to have more energy, right? So then we focus on talking that way. Communication skills, depending on people's personality and what style they are, is huge, right? So just to digress a little bit with that though, if I sense that you are a numbers person and you want to know how to get your target heart rate, you've got your Apple Watch so you can track all your workouts, that's how I'm going to talk with you. I'm going to be very clear, do the math numbers, and give you that feedback. If you're the person who's a very social animal and loves big parties and lots of crowds, I'm going to talk to you about how great our group fitness programs are too, and how much energy they are and how loud they are. If you're that quintessential type A personality and you just want to get in and get out, I'm not going to dilly-dally. I'm going to bust you up and get you out the door, right? So trying to sense of how this person approaches motivation, and then speaking to them like that.
Is there any more online? I think the last question I have collectively for the group, in the very beginning, you talked about tips and tricks to work the floor or sell yourself while you're trying to gain new clients. Do you mind repeating some of the things that you've found work best for you to pick up new clients in that pre-contemplation, contemplation stage?
Yeah. Again, and I'm not in management anymore, but when, in the Equinox days when we would help the new trainers, that was a big part of it, is having them appreciate how valuable that time is. Because I've heard many a trainer, even now in my workshops, trainers will go, yeah, I got to work the floor. What a waste of time. All my boss wants me to do is sell, and I hate working the floor. I'm like, I think we need to make a change in your brain here, Sales is helping people, right? And your opportunity is here, right in front of you. Most of the people in this room right now are not using a personal trainer. So you have to show them how you can shine. And so I did deliberate things. I called them playing games with myself. You know, moving weights just to look busy, making sure that I made eye contact with people and wave to people and sort of be like the star, right? You're in charge, you're the actor, right? So make people know that. Give free lectures. I did a lot of that in Equinox, free lectures, exercising through your pregnancy, picked up a ton of clients, 15-minute consultations. You guys do this in the gyms where you work, right? 15 minutes, we'll do a glute workout right now, or give me 10 minutes, I'll give you the best upper body routine you can try. So doing free stuff while you're working the floor is really helpful.
Awesome. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
guys,
so much,
for your
Annette.
attention online. Thank you. Thank you, Focus.
And Annette, so for those that are online and for those that are on campus, they can head over to AnnetteLang.com and you'll have the schedule with your upcoming events.
Yes.
Awesome.
And you can contact me that way also.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Annette.
Thank you. Thank you.